Karrigan has been receiving a lot of praise recently for unlocking Kyousuke, and with data like this, it's practically undeniable. I went back and watched a few of Kyousuke's POVs from IEM Rio with Kyousuke as his IGL, and some from the Major with Karrigan as his IGL, to see how or why Kyousuke seems to be doing better under Karrigan's leadership. I did find some patterns, but I think it's important to note, Falcons were already a good team, and Kyousuke was already a good player. What they needed Karrigan for was getting over those last few hurdles in a match. He didn't need to completely reinvent Kyousuke in 60 days. But Karrigan's subtle changes to Kyousuke's game were immediately vindicated when they brought home the Cologne trophy. The first trend I noticed was that Karrigan valued his life less than Kyousuke, which in any other profession would sound pretty brutal, but it's no secret. At this point, Karrigan is practically synonymous with this philosophy of baiting your IGL for an entry. But Kyousuke has pretty decent fragging output for an IGL, so he wasn't as ready to take the bullets for his teammates. In this round, the buy is a little weak, so Falcons are going for a 3-man palace pop. Kyousuke gets the trade on Molodoi, but Furia pretty much shut down the round from jungle. But if we look at Kyousuke's pathing, he leans so heavy towards Tetris and is worried about A site, even though 3 teammates just swung palace and cleared it. The timing is tight, but I think pathing straight towards jungle to at least distract the Furia players could have given them a better shot at this round. I can practically imagine Karrigan swinging this, worst crosshair placement and spray you've ever seen, but it might have saved Kyousuke's life. Kyousuke would play the bait in some rounds, just not as often as Karrigan. But I don't want to give the impression that all Karrigan does is bait for his stars. The biggest advantage you can have in Counter-Strike comes from numbers alive. So if a clean 5v4 is possible, Karrigan wants Kyousuke to try for it. But if it's a rough fight, like running through a smoke, he will take the risk of dying for the 4v4. So Karrigan isn't just mindlessly baiting for his teammates. He decides his position in the pack based on the best chance of finding or keeping a man advantage. In this clip you can see, when going through mid doors, Kyousuke goes first as this is an even fight for him. But later, during the actual execute, Karrigan runs through a smoke first so that Kyousuke doesn't have to. Sure, Karrigan dies a lot, more than Kyousuke, but when he can, he makes sure his teammates, like Kyousuke, can get something out of his death. The second trend I noticed was how often Kyousuke was left in lurk positions. Under Kyousuke, it wasn't common, but it wasn't super rare either. And under Karrigan, at least in the demos I watched, there were basically none. And Karrigan has the right idea. Kyousuke is at his best as a pack player or entry. We know he's aggressive, sometimes to a fault. He makes footsteps when he swings because he knows he can hit the shot. Putting him in these lurk positions doesn't really play to his strength. In this clip, Kyousuke leaves Kyousuke cat to regroup for a long hit, and while Kyousuke does well to not die and keep Fallen's head on a swivel, it's the rest of Falcons who clean up this round. Kyousuke doesn't really have much impact, and you can't really blame him because this isn't what he normally does. And had the other fights gone unfavorably for the T's, Kyousuke's already one hit, and I'm not 100% convinced he could have closed this round. And here, in one of the few times Kyousuke wasn't part of the pack under Karrigan, the entries go in favor of Furia, and now in a 5v3, the CTs won't peek Kyousuke, he can't find his impact, and Falcons end up giving away an anti-eco. And this isn't just the eye test. Kyousuke has a worse clutch rating than anyone else on Falcons. His 1v1 win percent in the past 12 months is 47, but because the winner of a 1v1 most of the time is really the person who traded in a 2v1, the average is closer to 60, not 50, which all of his teammates clear. I'm certain this is something that will improve over time, but for now, Karrigan made the right call keeping the Kyo lurks to a bare minimum. The final piece that I think helped push Falcons over the finish line is the confidence, trust, and responsibility Karrigan is building in Kyousuke. Nearing the end of Inferno in the grand final, Falcons have brackets control and are setting up util, when Kyousuke takes an early swing, with bomb, telegraphing Falcons' finish, and allowing Furia to get their mandated 8th round in this final. We can see Karrigan get a little frustrated with the team, and no doubt with Kyousuke, as he was the first domino to fall. So your cracked aimer, mega aggressive, friends with donk rifler just screwed up around by getting too aggressive. What do you call? If you're Karrigan, you have him run straight up mid to fight one of the fastest oppers in the scene. This is basically Karrigan telling Kyousuke, see, I know you're good, you just have to know when to utilize your mechanics. Especially on low buys, when Karrigan knows the team doesn't have enough util for a proper round, he lets Kyousuke off the leash to find an early pick, treating Kyousuke's insane mechanics and aggression as an ace up his sleeve rather than a constant threat. With these new ideas woven into the team, along with a lot of other smaller details, Falcons were able to get Nico as major. The team is looking incredibly strong, and I'm already excited for next season. But there's one thing I want to make clear. I think Kyousuke is a good IGL. It's just unfortunate that in this video I'm comparing him to the best of all time, so it may look like I'm being harsh, but really it's Karrigan's fault. I think there are a lot of teams that Kyousuke could improve, and I'm interested to see where he ends up after this upcoming roster mania. And if he doesn't get picked up, maybe Nico will get sick or something, and Kyousuke will sub in and learn some of Karrigan's tricks. Who knows, maybe this is the next great rifling core. We should come up with a nickname or something, but hey, hey, stop!